Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and it is Sunday and time for the Texas Gun Vault poll question of the week. Before I talk about this week's poll question, which is number 16 by the way, I have to apologize in advance. I'm still getting over a terrible sinus infection, so if I sound a little bit stuffed up, I am truly sorry. You just got to deal with my raspy voice a little bit today. Just the way it goes. So anyway, we are on the Texas Gun Vault poll question of the week, number 16. And this week's question has to deal with what you think the motivations of many anti-gunners are. I kind of looked at this question as an extension of a video that I made a long time ago, where I talked about there are three types of anti-gunners. And I kind of talk about it in this poll. I was curious what you guys thought about the issue, and I was looking forward to seeing your comments to see if anybody kind of agreed with me about how the different types of anti-gunners work together or how some of them get used. But anyway, let's dive right into this week's poll question. As the saying goes, do not attribute to malice what can easily be explained by ignorance and incompetence. It makes you wonder what the true motivations are behind anti-gun politicians and activists are. While I would say for some their heart might be in the right place, those wanting to stop violence, however, I feel others use it to advance long-term goals that might be more insidious. In your opinion, what do you feel are the main motives, whether admitted or not, are the true factors behind their drive for gun control? So as you can see, what I'm trying to do is to get people to think about what the motivations are behind the people that they may debate when it comes to gun control or firearms or something about the firearms community. As you guys know, I try to gear this channel towards being a good ambassador of the Second Amendment. I hope that people that might be anti-gun or maybe people that are kind of fence sitters or maybe apathetic to guns will find my channel and find somebody that is hopefully thoughtful, intelligent, maybe has a kindness to them, takes time to answer questions in a respectful way, doesn't come across as a big nut job and crazy conspiracy theorist, and then they go, wow, you know, there are some good people in the Second Amendment community, maybe I have this whole thing wrong, and we're able to bring them in to our side. But let's go over the results of this week's poll, and then I'll give you my analysis. For the results of this week's poll, we have ignorance. It is easy to fear what you do not know or understand. 15%. Altruism. The belief that their goal is good and well-intended. 10%. Control. You cannot dominate a population that is well-armed. 70%. Punishment. Just want to hurt those that do not vote for them. 3%. And something else, tell me in the comment section below. 2%. Alright, so the results of this poll really didn't surprise me too much. I was expecting most people to say that control was the major motivation when it comes to anti-gunners. To me though, this is a nuanced argument because I actually believe that there isn't a right answer. In fact, all of them are correct. I think a couple of people actually said that in the comments section below. It's because there's different tiers. As I said, I did a video on this a long time ago, and back then I only put 3 tiers, but I added this 4th tier of punishment, and I'll talk about that when I kind of analyze each one of these answers. But I look at it as it's this symbiotic relationship that the people at the top are the ones that want control, but they need the people at the lower levels, those that are the altruistic people, and then those that are the useful idiots people, in order for them to get enough power and accumulate enough momentum to actually pass their agenda. But let's go through this. Ignorance. It is easy to fear what you do not know or understand. To me, this is where the big battle actually takes place for the Second Amendment, because this is the majority of people that will find themselves being anti-gun. They're just fearful. And the reason I know this is because that's what I was like many, many, many years ago. I think I've mentioned this before on the channel, but around the age of 21 or so, I had a friend that took me shooting. Before that, I was kind of anti-gun. I was scared of guns. And after going to the range a couple times and seeing how he handled firearms, I thought it was the coolest thing in the entire world. So I actually understand where these people are coming from. And so when I try to talk to them, I feel like I have some type of connection with them and say, listen, I've walked that path and I have changed. I know what it is like to feel the way you do. Come give this a chance, come to our side, and I think I can change your mind. But But the reason that this is where the battleground takes place is that this is where the majority of people that are going to vote for anti-gun politicians find themselves. Gun control isn't a daily issue that they think about or talk about at work or around the water cooler with family or friends. It's just one of those ancillary things that a politician talks about and they go, yeah, it's on their platform, I'll go ahead and vote for them. It's not really a major identity thing that they pride themselves on, but there's so many of them that they can be easily manipulated and fooled. And that's when it comes to the next level, which is the altruistic people. Now, I believe that this level here is where you get a lot of politicians, not all, but I would say definitely local politicians, some state politicians, and I think many of the people that run the anti-gun groups like Brady or the Everytown, I honestly believe that they have what they think are the best interests of the American people at heart. Now, I believe they are completely wrong. They are misguided and they refuse to look at statistics and data and history and all of that information that could help guide them in the best direction. They ignore all of that. But in their hearts, I really do believe that they feel passionate about what they're doing. They're thinking, wow, if we can pass these laws, if we can ban this or that, these tragedies will never happen. They completely ignore history, as I said. But they get out there because they're passionate about it. Now, there are people on our side that are the same way, and this is where we have to say, yes, it's great that you're passionate about the Second Amendment, but you got to think about how you're presenting your arguments. Sometimes people can be a little bit overbearing in that passion. For example, they'll open carry an AR-15 or an AK-47 into a place where maybe they're legally allowed to do so, but it raises public concern. That doesn't really help our cause as much. I support their right to do so, but I don't think it's necessarily the most tactful thing to do. Well, many of the anti-gunners, as I said, at this kind of lower level of government or maybe in these nonprofit organizations, I really do believe that a lot of them think that they're doing the just cause. And they are going to use those people that are ignorant and foolish below them to try to get their legislation passed. So a great example was a man by the name of Josh Sugarman, and I believe he actually still is around doing anti-gun stuff. He was the person that supposedly coined the term assault weapon. And he said in the 1980s that if we can confuse the general public about what a semi-automatic rifle is, essentially conflating them with fully auto, everything that appears to look like a machine gun is a machine gun and we can get it banned. So that's the kind of level that I think that they're at. And so this next level is the one that I knew everybody was going to vote for. That would be the control level. You cannot dominate a population that is well armed. And that's absolutely true. These are the people that use the altruistic people to help them further their agenda, and those altruistic people use the useful idiots to help them further their agenda. But these are the people that we all know, the people that are at the top levels of government, people that are the owners or executives of major corporations, the Jeff Bezoses, the Bill Gates, the Barack Obamas, the Joe Bidens, the George Soroses. These are the people that have so much power and so much wealth that they want to implement their good ideas. But in order to implement their good ideas, they need a disarmed population because the population is going to resist them. And they can't have armed people fighting them, right? So this is where I think absolutely the insidious and the worst level of these anti-gun people are. There's very few of them, but they hold a lot of power. And they're the ones that I think we really look at and go, they are the true villains. And that's why I was expecting this to be the highest voted for category, and it was. Then we have punishment. Just want to hurt those that do not vote for them. I actually think this is a fourth category of a type of anti-gunner that is becoming more and more common. It's people that don't really care about gun control, but because they're part of a certain political philosophy or party, they feel like they need to use that power that they can accumulate simply to hurt their opposition. We see this now from one administration to the next, where when one administration at the federal government comes in, they try to investigate and punish the previous administration for whatever crimes they think that they committed. Or just because one party takes over, well, now we're going to upend the whole system and transform it. And then the next time the other party comes back in, we got to upend the system and transform it. It becomes punitive. It becomes, I just want to punish those that don't vote for me. Because you didn't vote for me, I'm going to make sure that you are punished. That everything that you hold dear, I'm going to go after you. This is kind of a mixed bag, I think. I think that sometimes you'll find the altruistic people wanting to be a little bit punitive and punish those. I also kind of feel like of course, the control people want to punish, but also there's some of the ignorant people that want to punish. So this is kind of a fourth category that I've kind of come to realize exists. And then finally, something else, tell me in the comment section below. Now, this is the one, if I was going to vote in these polls, which by the way, I never do because I don't want to skew the results. This is the one I actually would have voted for, something else, because as I think a couple people said in the comments, it's an all of the above. All these people have a symbiotic relationship, and it's really more of a pyramid. As I said, the people at the top, the control people, need the altruistic people, and they need the useful idiots. And somewhere in there, at all levels, there's a people that just want to punish others. So that's kind of my thoughts on this poll. And I think that depending on how you're fighting anti-gunners at what level, you have to have a different strategy. Sometimes I think we miss the boat in that we have a one-size-fits-all strategy for defending the Second Amendment. And it needs to be a multi-tiered approach. I feel like as a tactician, that's something that maybe a leader of a very powerful gun rights organization needs to do and needs to think about and address. Now, this is why I think the NRA has dropped the ball. While a lot of people consider them to be the big baddies when it comes to the gun rights movement, I'm talking about from the anti-gun perspective, they only fight things one way. They waste money. It's fraud, abuse. You guys know the whole story with them. But then you have other organizations that simply fight at the local level. You have some that fight at the state level. You have some that fight from a cultural standpoint. I'd like to kind of bring all of these under one umbrella one day, because as I said, we have to have a multi-tiered approach, which is what I think our opposition is really, really good at and why they're so successful at so many things. So let's go on to the comment section and let's see what you guys had to say with the top rated comments of the week. So with the top rated comment of the week, we have Razor JB, who says, I believe it's a combination of all of the above. And he just echoes my sentiments. I got nothing else to say about that, and I think he is absolutely right. Next up, we have Musashi Aaron, who says, most voters don't understand guns, so they fear them. So they elect people who are equally ignorant and fearful who want to control them. There are a few ringleaders who start from wanting to control us because they fear us. But again, that comes from not understanding us or the Second Amendment. And I think he's kind of on the same track that I am. He's talking about how there's a multi-tiered anti-gun pyramid here, and that we have to fight it different ways. So when it comes to the people at the lowest level, we want to bring them in. We want to be as welcoming as we possibly can. We want to show them that we're not crazed boogaloo boys. You know what I'm saying? That we just like firearms. We like to protect our communities. We like to protect our homes. And we like to do sports shooting. That's it. That we are just common, average people that respect life and don't want anybody to be hurt. But we will use our firearms in defense of our nation, our state, and our families if need be. Next up, we have Jacob, who says they want to eliminate opposition and control the rest with an iron fist. So once again, we kind of have a multi-tiered thing where I think when he talks about eliminating the opposition, I think that kind of goes into the punishment aspect of what I was talking about. And of course, the control. So that's another, probably a vote for control right there. Then next up, we have La Lunatic, who says they want a level playing field if you mean the politicians. A lot of normal people are just ignorant, though, but are that way because of lies and fear being spread by those in power. It's for control. What we can do is just keep trying to tell everyone who will listen what's at stake and hope things keep shifting positively as people realize they are responsible for what happens to them and their children in the future. Protect it now. And I could not agree more. I believe that the cure to many of our society ills simply is personal responsibility. To realize that many of the things that happen in your life, whether or not you think they're under your control or not, usually stem from a series of decisions. So bad things can happen to you that are out of your control, but a series of bad decisions that you made before that time might have put you in a situation where these things can happen to you. So That's why I say you always have to stay positive. You always have to make good decisions. You always have to think about the future and not just always live in the moment. I know in today's society, we're kind of an instant gratification society where that's what we think about. Just what can I do right now in the moment? And sometimes that's not always the best solution or the best answer. And then finally, we have Vic Smith, who says the whole thing is a control issue, so the politicians can do anything they want without consequence. So overwhelmingly, you all said control. And I completely agree, because those are the ones that are the most insidious, the most evil, and the ones we have to spend the most time fighting. However, the battle can be won. Those people at the top can't do anything if the people at the lower levels don't have any power or don't want to follow them. So if we can change the masses and bring them all into the Second Amendment, they have no power because they can't get anything through. They can't pass any legislation because they have no support. And that's where I think we need to spend most of our time, is Second Amendment outreach. All right, well, this has been an outstanding Texas Gun Vault poll question of the week. I've really liked it. As I said, it's kind of an extension of a video that I made a long time ago, and it's interesting to see how my personal thoughts on the subject have changed. As I said, I've added kind of a fourth category of an anti-gunner, the ones that want to punish others. But it's interesting to see where you guys kind of lay in all of this, and obviously you guys think control is the most common motivation when it comes to anti-gun politicians and people, which I don't really disagree, because I think all of them fit into one of these categories. So if you guys like this, please check out my community tab. I should have a new Texas Gun Vault poll question of the week up. Please like, share, and comment, and even like other people's comments so we can get the top rated comments of the week. Next week's poll could be something fun, could be something serious, it could be something about a particular gun, it could be something legal, who knows? I kind of decide the day of, and I try to put a lot of variation in the poll question of the week. So I hope you guys go over there, check it out. I'll put a link to that in the description below. So go over there and let's interact and let's have a great conversation. So let me know if you have any questions in the comment section below and what you think of the results of this week's poll. So as always, thanks for watching.